welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Quintessential Queens podcast, right here on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeart radio station. Thank you for joining me this Sunday evening. The weather has broken a little bit, right? It was really, really, really cold. Now it's just a little bit cold. Then we had like a 60-degree day or something like that. But it's better. That means spring is coming. But don't be fooled. It's still cold and you need your coat and maybe your hat and gloves for some of you, but don't let that beautiful sunshine make you think you're supposed to walk outside in shorts. Don't do it. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Today, I got a couple of things I'm going to talk about. One is going to be leadership. One is going to be leadership. I really want to speak about that because it's like people have forgotten how to be leaders, how you're supposed to act as a leader. What happened? What happened? So, of course, I'm talking about what happened in the Oval Office this past week because everybody's buzzing about it. Everybody's talking about it. We can pretend like we don't want to talk about it, but I want to. And if any of you have any perspectives about it, call in. Here's the number 708-223-8953. Call me if you have a thought or an opinion about what happened between Ukraine and the U.S., Zelensky and the United States president, what is his number, 46, 45, something like that. I have to admit that I didn't watch it as it happened because what I was doing, I was out behaving like a leader the day that they were meeting. I was out taking care of patients, educating my patient families, and advocating for my patient and their families. That's what I was doing. I was behaving like a leader. That was the job and task that I took on and want to do it excellently. And I do it excellently, if I do say so myself. But when I saw I went on our many, I went to YouTube really, which is we are on YouTube as well. So it's okay. I can say it. I can advertise that. I watched the video and I was very surprised and very disappointed. Very surprised and very disappointed. This is how the leaders of the free world act. That's how you behave when you invite somebody into your house. So you've invited the president of Ukraine into the White House, into your home, the USA's home, and you treat him like that? You talk to him like that? What happened to behaving like a leader? What happened to behaving like someone who's overseeing America? What happened to behaving like you have followers and people who are going to be looking up to you and looking at you for the next thing to do, for how to act? I was very disappointed, very disappointed. JD Vance, too, very disappointed. How do you talk to somebody like that in front of America, in front of cameras, in front of the press? And here's something that I heard. I can't remember what her name is, and shame on me. She's on ABC, and she said, "Why wasn't the Associated Press invited to that press conference? How come they were not allowed in to film what was going on and to ask the questions that they may want to ask?" That's a topic for broadcaster out there. Why was that's a very interesting question. I don't know why. But what I want to know is why you invite somebody to your home to attack them. The way I was raised, you don't do that. If you have people that you don't really like, you're not bringing them in your house. You don't invite them to your house. Why would you bring them in your home? You don't treat people like that when they come to your house. You don't attack people like that when they come to your house. And I myself thought Zelensky was very calm and very on it with his facts. So JD Vance got to talking about some you don't act like you thankful. What? Isn't that just like, don't you know people like that who think you're supposed to be kissing their butt because they did something for you? We have people like that. And he displayed that they behave that way. You're not thankful and you haven't said thank you, which is not true. He said thank you many times, but just that premise, just the fact that you'd even speak to somebody like that in front of America, in front of cameras, in front of the press, this is what you got to say to him. And he was very on it. And he said, "Have you been to Ukraine? Have you seen what's going on over there?" And JD said, "I have seen the stories." You have seen the stories? That's your answer, Vice President? You have seen the stories? That means you haven't even put boots on the ground to look at the devastation that this long war has caused. But he has every opinion in the world. I saw him this morning speaking with George Stephanopoulos on I don't remember which one it is, if it's Meet the Press or whichever one it is. One of them is one channel, one of them is another. But this was George Stephanopoulos talking to him. And oh wait, I'm wrong. He wasn't talking to JD Vance. He was talking to Rubio. That's who he was talking to this morning. But I saw JD Vance speaking to Zelensky, and you ain't even been there to see what's going on. That speaks volumes to me. That's why you need leaders that have experience in whatever it is you're asking them to lead. And evidently, that our president's cabinet is just full of the richest people in the world, but not people rich in the experience of the departments that they're leading. So any of you that have jobs and you work, you can't stand taking orders from people who don't know what they're talking about because they've never done the job that you're doing. They've never been in a space to occupy any work, but yet they can tell you what to do. And those are some of the people we have leading us right now. He shut down many departments in the government, the USA Department, the Department of Education, changed a lot and put people over it who don't have the experience in that particular area. So a lot of people resigned, folks, they're getting out of Dodge, whatever their next plan is, I would love to know. And a lot of people were fired, unfortunately, people with the experience to do the job that we need them to do, but they're not over those departments anymore. And then here you go, the VP saying the same thing. The man very clearly asked him, "You been to Ukraine to see what's happening?" Well, I watched the stories. We all watch the stories. But any of you that have been in war, or any of you that have been in broadcasting and you were actually in the war torn areas, it's completely different than watching the stories, right? But he said it so proudly. I've seen the stories. And then the way the president was talking to him, I find that absolutely abhorrent and disappointing. Very disappointing. This is not what I'm used to seeing when the leader of the free world speaks to dignitaries from other countries. Sure, Trump is a businessman, definitely. And now he's running this country like this is The Apprentice. That press conference was not The Apprentice. That press conference is a conference where you were supposed to be trying to help these folks stop war, trying to come to some negotiation, but Zelensky is saying he don't quite agree with the type of negotiations that they were trying to have. And Trump immediately, you don't hold the cards. You ain't in a good position. You ain't in no position to tell us what to think and what to do. He's in the position to tell you what his people need because he's listening to his people. He's listening to what his people want. He's in the position to do that. And he was very on it with his facts. He said, "We signed contracts with Putin already. We signed contracts with him before, and he did not honor the contract. So why are you asking me to trust him again? Why are you asking me to sign anything with him again? We did it before, and he still came over and killed our people and bombed our land, even after we signed all of this. So why couldn't they be a little more understanding? Because to me, it sounds like maybe they don't know what's going on. They just know what they want to happen. But we not listening to the man. And Trump already, that one of the first meetings he had, he ostracized Zelensky from the meeting, right? He didn't even invite him to the meeting. He should have been there, but he didn't invite him. Then you invite him, and then you treat the man in a very unpolitical fashion. That I'm like, wow, what do you expect to gain by inviting someone to your house and treating them like that? That's a rule that I live by. We didn't grow up like that. We didn't grow up mistreating people that you asked to come to your table. We treated them with respect and dignity because you're under my roof. And I also learned that when you're under someone's roof, you have to treat them with respect and dignity and their guests. Because I've been in places where I didn't like the guests that were there, and they probably didn't like me either, but I didn't like them. but I was not rude, nasty, or ignorant while I'm under someone else's roof. I'm a guest. I'm being invited under a roof. What do I look like starting fights in your home? What do I look like giving an attitude, being rude and nasty to another guest that you invited to your home? I'll tell you this, that's the best way to get uninvited. That's the best way to no longer be a guest. You're coming in here mistreating people that I brought in here. You can't do that. There should be some better control, some better behavior, and that'll lead me right into the leadership. So, leaders are supposed to display exemplary behavior. You're supposed to show people how they should act and how you should act in the face of adversity. And definitely in the face of adversity is where you're tested and where your control is necessary. Because when everybody's agreeing with you, it's easy to behave. When everybody likes you and like what you do and can't wait to see you, it's easy, right? You have no problem. But it's when people start asking tough questions and things that you don't have the answer to, or if they're being inflammatory and you don't agree. You just don't agree. How are you going to behave? Are you gonna behave like the mayor of Dalton? Yeah, I gotta talk about her too. I gotta talk about her too. I'm so sorry. I am sorry that we have this a black woman in a position of power, and this is how it's laid out. How her reputation is very blemished. Very blemished. We've had people on the show from the township of Dalton that talked about her behavior, and we've seen it ourselves. But I would love to give her the opportunity to come here and unblemish that reputation, to come here and tell your side of the story. Check it out. See what's going on. We don't really hear from her, but what we do hear from her, it's not exemplary, right? What we've heard about her, it's not something that we wanted in a leader, not something Dalton wanted in their mayor. But a lot of times people can only show you the bad part of things. People can only show you the negative perspective of things. That's why it's important to listen to everybody. But I can tell you that what I've seen, it's not good. It's not good at all. I saw the township meetings where people are speaking and she puts her head down and look like she playing tic-tac-toe or something. What what type of leader are you if your head is down when your people are speaking to you? Your people are talking to you. And if you behave that way, how do you think they're going to behave? From what I've seen of Henyard's behavior, it's not the behavior of a leader. It's not the behavior of a mayor, and it's not the behavior of a professional, mature person. I've watched some of those meetings and I'm kind of appalled at it. I'm like, wow. So also we see that, the public is giving her the business. The public is talking to her and they just letting her have it. Some of them are disrespectful too. But let me tell you this. If your leader is disrespectful, how do you think the people in the township are going to act? If you behave disrespectful, how do you think the people that are coming to speak to you are going to act? Your job is to give exemplary behavior so people know what to do, how to act, and how to behave in the face of adversity, not jump up out of your chair and join the fight. What? I saw that and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait a minute. I just know the mayor of Dalton didn't jump up out of a chair and join the fight. Did she join the fight? I'm appalled. That's not leadership. That is not leadership. But what it does tell you is that if you don't have the behavior, the control, the knowledge, the skill that you should have to perform a job, it doesn't matter where we place you. You could be in the White House, you can be in the poorhouse. If you behave like a jackass, you'll be a jackass in the poorhouse and in the White House. It doesn't matter where you are. You have to take some control over your behavior. Don't think for one moment that I don't have those moments too where I would just rather, you know what? We don't got to talk. We can go toe to toe 10 to 10. I can just start slapping you right now. We don't even have to do all of this professional stuff. But my sane mind takes over and reminds me who I am, a child of God first of all. I was raised in the church. I got to remember that. A professional, a leader. So I don't want to be outside behaving nastily and then people can point to me like, "Oh no, that's y'all leader. We saw her trying to jump on people over there. We saw her cussing out some folks over there." Who wants to follow you? And if you do have followers, you're going to get people that act like that. And then if you have people that don't act like that, well, hey, she acting like that. Can't we act like that too? People need to remember their position and their spots. If people have elected you to a position, if you have been given a position of leadership, you need to remember that people are following you and looking to you for answers. People are following you and looking to you for what to do next. So your behavior needs to impress that. I get so disappointed when I see all of this. I remember seeing the first Congress meetings where they were screaming and yelling back and forth. Is that what goes down up in there? Had no idea till I saw that. Disappointed, a disappointed American looking at that. And yes, I am an American. My people built this country. I was born here. Yeah, I can say that. Then we see our president behaving in a way that presidents don't act like that. That's my mindset. Like, is that how you're supposed to behave? Then you have this going on in Dalton, and we've had wonderful guests on this show that they're from that township, and they discuss these things that's not what they wanted. This is not what we wanted. We didn't want folks to feel like we don't care about them, because that's the impression you leave, that you really don't care about us. You really don't care about what we need. You really don't care about what we want. So let me impress upon you this: we have to start taking care of each other better, because that's what it's going to come down to, us taking care of each other. I was at a dinner last night invited by a wonderful family. Thank you, the Lara Quintes. They were very kind to me and my mom. And we were talking about that. It's gonna go back to co-op neighborhoods, growing your own vegetables, working with your neighbors to, sell food to make sure everybody's eating. Some years ago, I knew a woman and they're in Chicago, and she had chickens in her yard, chickens and goats. Her chickens laid eggs. She used to sell the eggs for a very small amount of money. She used to give the goat milk away to, friends that were ill. And if I knew somebody that was ill, she would give them that. Chickens in her yard to lay eggs. What I would give to live next door to her right now, to live next door to her right now. I'm sure whatever her price is, it wouldn't be what I'm paying in the store. So I'm like, hey, we just won't be eating eggs. But the thing is, you use eggs for almost everything: cornbread, cakes, biscuits. Now we're at a fork in the road. Not even a fork in the road. You stuck between the walls, right? Rocking a hard place. Do I buy all this expensive stuff, or do I change my diet? I've bought some eggs and they'll be there. I'm only going to use them to make things with, like cakes. Me and my grandbaby are going to make a cake eventually, maybe biscuits, but eggs won't be a part of my meals because they just cost too much money. So we're going to get back into, and we need to get back into, taking care of each other. There are people that know how to grow their own vegetables in their gardens. We need that person. If there are people that happen to have chickens and hens in their backyards, we need that person. That's something that we won't have to spend a lot of money on, because the neighborhood is taking care of each other. We're making sure that the people here eat. We're making sure that food is sustainable. That is true sustainability, when you're in your neighborhoods and everybody's making sure that everyone is taken care of. That's a huge point of mine, that to make sure we're taking care of each other. More and more people don't believe in that, because the world looks like it's becoming more and more selfish, more and more self-centered, more and more look out for number one, and I don't care about anybody else. We won't survive like that, because our leaders are like that. They're not looking out for everybody. Our president has the richest people in the world in his cabinet. Literally, if you look that up, the richest people in the world are working for him, and they're working for him to his goals. So what about the rest of us? We aren't the richest people. A lot of us are two checks away from being on the street. If we're lucky enough to have savings, maybe we six checks away from being on the street, but we're not rich people. Some of us are doing well, middle class, if there's such a thing, and some of us aren't doing as well. That's not going to help us. As you see how the things that they've cut affects us right here, middle class, poor people. So a lot of education that maybe if you had a disabled child, gone. A lot of services for seniors, gone or soon will be gone. These are the things that are being affected. And people aren't feeling it yet because it hasn't enumerated itself, right? You haven't, maybe you're not the child who's taking care of a parent that relies on transportation to the dialysis center so that their mother can get dialysis. When that transportation is cut, you're going to feel it. I'm telling you, start paying attention now. Start making accommodations now. If you're someone that depends on these services that are being cut, start looking around in your circle for resources now. Because what an awful thing for your mom or your dad to not be able to get dialysis because he can't get a ride to the center. You're working on Monday morning when he goes, so the transportation comes, get him, takes him there, brings him home. That's good, right? You feel good, mom, dad safe. That's no more. And if it's not gone yet, it's about to be. So how your daddy and your mama gonna get to their dialysis appointments? How are they gonna get those life-sustaining measures, those life-sustaining treatments? How are they gonna do that? Start looking now for your resources. Let's not wait till it's detrimental and devastating. We already see it coming. We saw it coming before these people took office. We should have been rallying the troops then. Remember when they knocked down Roe v. Wade. I remember watching the press conference, and all of those people that were the leaders of those groups said, "We've been waiting for it. We knew it was coming, and we are ready. We ready. We prepared. We got this. We wasn't waiting on them. We was just waiting for when, not if it was going to happen, but when it was going to happen. They were prepared. We need to be the same way. You need to get prepared, and you should have been prepared. You saw it coming before these people took office. Get prepared with every civil right that's about to be stripped away, in addition to the ones that have already been stripped away. Get prepared with finding people, your circle, your community, your village that's going to help you when the hammer falls. Get prepared with the people that are going to encircle you when detrimental times come, when devastating times come, because all evil men need to do to succeed is for good men to sit by and do nothing. That is the truth. Sit by and do nothing and just let evil take over. Sit by and do nothing and just let selfishness prevail. We don't have to be those people. For me, I believe it takes people with money to fight people with money, but we're the ones that reap we feel the repercussions of money people's war, as people say. That's rich people's problem. It's not rich people's problem when they're cutting services that affect us. That's our problem. And we have to do something about it. What we can do about it is get prepared. Get ready, start finding transportation for your children, for your elderly parents, for yourself. Start finding where you're going to keep food and hold on to your food. This is probably a hoarder's best time. All those things that we were holding on to, and I say we because I hoard a little bit. We can use it now. Those things that we have in abundance, we could use it now. Get prepared, and get prepared with your circle of protection. Whatever it is you need or have for protection. People have dogs. I have a dog. People have FOID cards. People have conceal and carry. Those are our rights. I believe in our rights. Whatever protection you need, get prepared. Get ready. And here's the thing: if we getting ready now, we already too late. We already behind the ball. We need to be very serious about this, because every day more and more aid is being cut, more and more services are being cut. We just haven't felt the complete and full ramifications of all of it. I went online the other day, um, for some of the colleges. I'm looking for another program to get in. Like, I just graduated. When I graduated, I just finished a bachelor's program. I just got my BS in, and I've been a nurse a long time. So you could do this at any age. The base of one mountain, the top of one mountain is the base of another. Keep climbing. So I'm already climbing. I'm looking for my next degree. There's a whole section on there about what they cannot give you because of the cuts, what you cannot have because of the cuts, who can and who can't apply right now because of the cuts. So if you're not the person that's looking for school, you don't feel that. But when you go to the desk to see, is there anything here for people who are having problems feeding their family? And they tell you, oh, we done with that. It's first come, first serve, and we ain't got no more for you. We don't have any for you. So now what are you going to do? Let your family go hungry? You go hungry? Get prepared now. Start figuring out what you have to do when these services are cut so that you can just put that into play right away. You can start that process immediately. Use what you have until you can't use it anymore. Use your services until they tell you, hey, that's done with. We're not doing that anymore. That's okay. I got my plan B already. My cousins and I, we've gotten things together. My uncles and I, my friends and I. Get your circle of resources now. Get your circle of resources now. And everybody is, upset about the DEI. We just had a blackout, right? February 28th, we were to buy nothing. No gas, no food, no anything. But if you did purchase, they wanted us to put it in our communities, black owned businesses. And I guess if you were Latino owned businesses, but sustaining your community, sustaining your village. Get into it if you ain't into it. If you didn't believe in it, please start believing because you don't want to feel the devastating brunting blow of what's happening. You want to be just like some of the leaders that I spoke of. We're prepared and we're ready. We knew this was coming. We're prepared and we're ready. We have our circle of resources. We're prepared and we're ready. We got our family together so that we can sustain each other. We got to start taking care of each other better. We just have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it now. And so while I have this platform, I'm going to speak that. It's so important to do this right now. Things are the things that are happening now aren't things that I ever thought I would see happening again in my lifetime. We came from under something like this, right? Not too long ago. Nobody was paying attention to what's needed in Black communities. Nobody was paying attention to what's needed in Latino communities. Nobody was paying attention to what minority, which is a word I don't like, but it's the word that they use, and that word used to be able to get you funding. What minority communities need or what the people need. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention. Now we finally started getting people in office who make policies and makes rules to make sure that we are not being discriminated against. Yeah, I know we got a long way to go with it, but we've come quite a ways. And guess what? Those policies are being cut. They're being thrown out. But here's something someone told me, that you don't have to have a policy to tell you to do the right thing. You already know what the right thing is. So what I was going to do, these stores that they were telling us to boycott, I'm going to go in there. I want to see, are there still Black people working here? Do you still have Latinos working here? Are the books with the Black kids' faces on it still on your shelves? Because I was shocked when I saw that in one of the stores many years ago. Like, it's actually books in here with Black people on the cover. Children's book with Black kids on the cover. A book about Black hair and how to take care of Black hair. Shocked. I was so glad to see it. Now they're being told to roll all of that back. That doesn't mean you have to take those books off the shelves. That's not what that means. That just means they have to get rid of that policy. Okay, you can get rid of the policy, but you can still hire Black people. You can still hire Latino people. If you are in a Black neighborhood or a Black community, those faces should be reflected in your employees. So I should still be able to walk in that store and see somebody who looked like me, or see somebody who looks like my mom or my cousins or my neighbors. I should be able to see that. It shouldn't be because the DEI, or what is it, diversity, equity, and inclusion policy is gone, that you have to stop doing the right thing, that you have to stop hiring people who represent the community you're in and people that represent the world. It doesn't mean you have to stop doing that. It doesn't mean you snatch all of our products off the shelves. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. And I need people to know that. And those of you who know about the policies and what those policies mean, first of all, those policies were put in place because people weren't being fair. People weren't being fair. Our president is saying, that Caucasians and white people have been the victim of reverse discrimination. First of all, We would have never had to have an affirmative action. We would have never had to have a DEI. We would have never had to have the policies in colleges and occupations if people were being fair. The problem was you have Black people applying for jobs that meet the criteria and you didn't hire them. Why? Because they were Black. You have Latinas and Latinos applying for jobs where they might even be overqualified. You didn't hire them because they were Puerto Rican or Hispanic or whatever they might have been. That's not who you wanted the face to be. I remember when I first started working in a bank and we were in the basement. We were in the basement. All the tellers were white, and I mean every last one of them. Every last one of it. And I don't want to say the name of the bank because I don't want nobody getting sued up in here. But I paid attention to that every day. Every teller was Black. I mean, white. Every teller was white. I didn't see one Black teller. I didn't see one Latino teller. And this bank was downtown at the time. Now I can go into a bank and I see everybody as a teller. I see the different races, the different ethnicities. And that's what we should see because that's what the world is. And if you are a business trying to attract people, that's what we should see. And we should still see that, right? Just because they're getting rid of the policy doesn't mean you stop doing the right thing. That's what I'm looking for. I am looking to see if people will still do the right thing. And I hope I won't be disappointed. I hope it won't be like what we've seen over this last week. This is a relationship we're going to have with other countries. Other countries look to us for certain things. And is this how we're going to treat them when they come to us? Depends, right? Depends who you are. Let's talk about the immigration. More policies. That's what I'm telling you. Get prepared. People being just thrown out of the country, right? You just got to go. That's it. Got to go. Just like in your house, folks getting on your nerves, get out. You got to go. Got to get up out of here. Okay, so then what do we do about this? What do we do about that? How do we balance these things out? How can we try to remember that people aren't just the color of their skin, they're not just their cultural practices, although those things are very important. People are humans. We are human beings. There has to be a love for humanity, compassion and empathy in human beings. That definitely should be there for our leaders, our presidents, our vice presidents, our mayors, our superintendents, our governors. Those things are supposed to be there. How can you govern a people when you don't have empathy for the human race? How can you lead a people and you don't have compassion for people? It's not possible. It's not possible. Some of these jobs, these occupations, these positions, you kind of got to be a good person to begin with, right? You have to be a good person to start. And I feel that way about nursing, which is who I am and what I do. I'm a nurse. Been a nurse a very, very, very long time. I'm also a good person, depending on who you ask. But for the most part, you'll get a better report than a bad report about me. You have to have care in your heart for the human race to do certain things because we have enough people out here who don't give a damn and they show us they don't. We want to counter that. We want to be able to stand up and still be able to survive and succeed and proceed, even though there's plenty of people who don't care. But it's very difficult to do when the leaders in the highest position of power don't care. I'm not seeing any caring. I don't see it. I see them putting in place the things they want, regardless of who it hurts. There's that definition is the definition of narcissists, really. They do what they want to do, regardless of how it affects you. I don't believe this country. As a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say I don't believe this country not supposed to be run like that. We're not that country. It's not supposed to be run like that. We hear about other countries that are run like that. This is not a dictatorship. This truly is a democracy, but it's not feeling that way and it's not looking that way. How did that happen? It could very easily happen. If you do the history in some of these other countries, you see how they turned into the dictatorship that they turned into. You see how that occurred if you watch it. And if you don't know anything about it, just keep paying attention to what's happening to us right now because that is the road we're heading down if y'all don't see it. And if I come up missing, it's because of the way I was talking today. But God got me. I ain't worried about it. But I am concerned how we are going to be affected. And I am concerned how we're going to help each other. You know, I watched this show on cable. It's what's that show called? Fear of the Walking Dead. Y'all know about them Walking Dead series, right? And so all of you who watch it, I was talking to my son about it and I just asked him, "Well, what do you think this show is really about? What do you honestly think it's about?" And any of you who watch it, what's the show about? Is it about the zombies? Is it about the dead coming back to life? Or is it about the living? It's about how the living act in the face of adversity, how the living act when they feel that their rights and survival is being stripped away, how living people behave towards each other when they think catastrophe is taking over. That's what that show is about. That's what it's about, in my perspective, and in a lot of other people's perspective, and in the writer's perspective. Because, as the vice president said, I've watched the stories, I've watched the directors and writers discuss this. We don't want to turn into a society full of people that are violent towards each other because it's very easy to turn on each other in the face of adversity. It's very easy to turn on each other when survival is at hand. Get prepared and you won't feel that way. Or at least if you feel that way, you'll see that there's a different way to go about it. There's a different way to handle it. And we really do need to learn to take care of each other better. That this is the only way we're going to make it. This is the only way we're going to survive. And I was raised that way, so it's not something I got to learn. The thing I have to learn is to be a little bit more forgiving. And we were talking about that this morning in one of my ladies' class, church. I was raised in church, and how to respond proactively and not reactively. Something I was taught in nursing. Be proactive, not reactive with your response. And this is with people that might even be, cussing you out and being loud and aggressive. We were taught to look behind the behavior and find the reason. Sometimes you ain't got time for that. When people are behaving like that, you either just got time to get away or you make up your mind to fight. But there are different ways to fight. There are different ways to defend yourself. There are different ways to survive the things we're going through and what we are about to go through. I haven't seen it get better. Things just keep getting worse. We do not want to be the community of people that react violently. We want to be the community of people that react compassionately and that care about the human race. That we care about our brothers and sisters. We are our brother's keeper. Because if we don't keep each other, who's going to keep us? Start with your small circle, start with your family. And if everybody did that, you will know what other people to combine yourself with, what other groups of people to combine yourself with, because we're heading somewhere that, in my opinion, I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing. This could be a very devastating thing. You start taking food and services away from people, what do you think they're going to do? What the Everybody will make a rationalization for survival, and that might be something violent. That might be something disappointing. But if you have your resources together and you start getting it together now, you'll be able to turn to it and say, all right, we got this food here. Let me go knock on next door and see. Maybe they got meat. I got vegetables. Oh, how about that? I got meat. You got vegetables. We can eat together. That's what we're going to have to start doing if you're not doing it already. We're going to have to start taking care of each other, dining together, looking out for each other, making sure everybody is okay. Some of the things that we were already doing, some of the things that funding allowed us to do, right? That funding is being cut, that funding is being no more. And it's a whole lot of people that depend on these funds that are being cut. What are those people going to do? What are their family members going to do? We got to keep our eyes open and we got to keep our hearts open. We have to keep our minds open because this is the time to depend on each other. This is the time. If it was any time, this is it. This is it right here. And I have good practice in it. Those of you who don't, start practicing it, because we need that. We really do need this. I want to thank you all for listening to me. I appreciate you joining me on the Quintessential Queens podcast right here on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeartRadio station, and you can find me on all the social media outlets. Well, I don't want to say all, but Facebook, I'm Speaking with D. TikTok, I'm Speaking with D. Instagram, I am Speaking with D. Put your comments in the chat below. Put any ideas or topics you want to hear about on this show, and I'll get back to you. So join me soon, maybe in a couple of Sundays, but I'm here Sundays at 3. And my another host we have, Rhea Ray Harris, you'll see us on some Sundays here at 3. Thank you all for joining us. Wanda, take us out.